Attention, your paradigm is about to shift at the intersection of fact and reason. You're entering Kingston Country.
I'm Dan Kingston, and you're listening to the Dan Kingston Podcast. The most dangerous question in modern science has been treated like a punchline. What is the UFO phenomenon? For decades, the official answer has basically been, we don't know, don't worry about it. But now, we have Navy pilots on camera chasing objects that defy physics. We have Pentagon reports admitting hundreds of unexplained encounters in the skies. We have Congress holding hearings on a topic that used to end careers. And now, standing right in the middle of it all, President Trump. Here's the question. Is Trump positioning himself to be the disclosure president? What do you think? The first president in human history to stand at a podium and say, yes, non-human intelligence exists and the government has known about it. For how long? It sounds crazy, right? Until you realize something even crazier. Multiple intelligence officials, senators, and defense insiders are on record saying the same thing. It's real. And there's been a cover-up, and the truth may no longer be containable. Could he be the first disclosure president? The intelligence community will never let any president go that far, say some, and others say disclosure won't come from Washington at all. They'll come from our own phones, from a public event so big it can't be denied. Today we're going to cut through all the hyperbole. We're going to separate documented fact from speculation and ask the question straight. Is the world closer to disclosure than ever before? Or is this just another illusion of transparency? Think Epstein. But this is not a podcast about Epstein. This is a podcast about the UAP phenomenon over our skies, infiltrating our airspace, over our most sensitive nuclear installations. But on Joe Rogan recently, he said that he's not a UFO kind of guy. It's never been my thing. I have never been a believer, quote unquote. That was in 2024. In 2020, Donald J. Trump says something different. Asked about aliens in Roswell, quote unquote, I won't talk to you about that. I won't talk to you about what I know about it. But it's very interesting. Roswell is a very interesting place with a lot of people that would like to know what's going on. A lot of inside information is indicating there is going to be some kind of disclosure event coming from the Trump administration. And if you've seen, there's a movie out, The Age of Disclosure, and Marco Rubio is in the documentary. Of course, he's high up in the Trump administration as a cabinet. And he's up there saying, yes, this is a real phenomenon. It's infiltrating our airspace, and we need to do something about it and figure it out. Okay, I highly recommend this movie, The Age of Disclosure. Interesting. In 2020, he says it's an interesting place. In 2024, he kind of shies away from it. So what happened over those 4 years? Did they get to him in terms of saying, this is really not something we want to talk about, Mr. President, and here's why? And the sightings have increased. And all indications are that this cannot be contained anymore. The other thing is you could use it as a distraction, is being hit still over Epstein. You think it's crazy, but when you dig deeper, this is what's going on. And if you're on Polymarket, this might be something I would consider betting on. Not that I'm giving you any investment advice. I'm just saying it's something that would interest me. If I was looking at Polymarket to see if I could bet on if the disclosure is going to come from the White House. In fact, I could look on Polymarket right now and see, is this 38% chance? Okay. Actually, just went up a second, went up to 39%. This is hovering, it looks like, between 55% chance in November on Thanksgiving. It was at 53. For some reason, it dropped. Okay, we're looking at a 39% chance that Trump declassifies UFO files before 2027. I'll put my money where my mouth is. And again, I'm not giving you any kind of investment advice. If you lose all your money, don't come chasing me. I got nothing. I am a humble podcast host. an artist, and God knows what else. In 2024, Trump said if reelected, he'd be inclined to release UFO footage, JFK files, and Epstein-related material. Okay, we know how that went. But explicitly tying UFO UAP disclosure to his political comeback, right? So this was a big part of that. His position has always been disclosure as a campaign promise. This documentary, The Age of Disclosure, it's putting Trump right at the center. It's directed by Dan Farah. I highly recommend it. 34 insiders, including James Clapper, Marco Rubio, Kirsten Gillibrand. It's non-political. People on both sides of the aisle are coming together because they need to know what's going on in our airspace over our most secretive installations. It's been an 80-year cover-up, a global cover-up by some accounts, that there is non-human intelligence that we share this earth with, and there have been secret crash retrieval programs. Look, this film suggests something pretty shocking, that even presidents can not know about these programs. They can be locked out of some of these most sensitive programs, not just UAP, but other programs too. They're looked at as temporary figureheads. They come in and they go out, and we got deep state officials that have been in there for life, and they're the real ones running the government. Remember the deep state? Talked about that. The UAP phenomenon is real. You got to take it seriously because the deep state takes it seriously, but they are notorious for getting our country into trouble and messing things up. Deep state can't be trusted. The deep state can't be trusted with politics. The deep state can't be trusted with our country. The deep state can't be trusted with the UAP phenomenon. We need to get those secretive, hidden, career, life, deep state officials out in the open, get them out, and get real Americans, everyday Americans, into those positions. Because if we're an actual functioning democracy, we're going to be ruled by our own, not by some lifers who went in there who were never elected, who have these secretive programs and then lie about it and create massive cover-up programs and gaslight the entire country. This is not democracy. We're living in some kind of pseudo republic right now. And until we expose these deep state officials, again, this is not a political thing. So Dan Farah, the director of The Age of Disclosure, he thinks Trump could be the disclosure president. In interviews with Entertainment Weekly and Newsweek, Farah said it's only a matter of time before a president comes to the podium and says we're not alone. So how do you think it's going to play out? Does Trump go to the podium, big televised address announcing confirmation of non-human intelligent life? And you got classified imagery and testimony, and it's all out there for everybody to see. Political shock waves. How do markets react? How might the geopolitics be? Or is it more controlled? Maybe a massive release of documents with limited explanation, and just kind of a trove of documents get released, and Trump frames as fulfilling a promise. Maybe, you're exposing the deep state, but there's no real big moment, right? Is this going to be kind of more ambiguous? Yes, you're extraterrestrial, but we're not going to say that. So you can just kind of read between the lines. And is there going to be a big change? Everybody assumes such a big change from disclosure. Might there not be a change? Might people just kind of shrug and say, well, what does it matter? How is it going to change my life? Taxes are still too high. I can't afford anything. You got culture wars going on. It makes no sense. This is bigger things to worry about right now. And we're focusing on things that don't matter. We're not focusing on people. We're focusing on things. And we're not teaching our young people how to behave and how to be a success, how to care for each other, how to care about human life, how to care about the animals and nature, in a way that's not superficial, but it's actually real and deep. And these are the things that matter, but instead we're arguing about stupid shit, okay? But this happens to be a big issue. And you could say, why this is funny, Daniel? Why are you focusing on something funny? And you could say that this is not important itself, but I'll tell you it is. Because the UAP phenomenon is an extreme national security threat until we deem it as not so. Until you can figure out and tell me and look me in the eye and tell me this is not a threat. And so far, no government official can do that. And this has me very concerned.
Kingston Country. You've been listening to the Dan Kingston Podcast.